Michelle Prince, founder and CEO of Performance Publishing Group, making a difference one story at a time. We'll be shining the light on successful founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders that are getting results and making a difference. We'll talk about how they built their businesses, are creating movements, and leveraging the power of authority in their own lives. Be sure to stick around to the end of the show, and we'll reveal how you can be our next guest. Let's get started. Hey everybody, this is Michelle Prince, host of the Power of Authority Spotlight, where we connect with successful founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders about how they built their businesses, they're creating movements, and leveraging the power of authority in their own lives. I can't wait to introduce you to our guest today because what he's doing has a bigger impact beyond just the business. But first, this episode is brought to you by Performance Publishing Group. Performance Publishing Group provides top quality, comprehensive book publishing services for soon-to-be authors. The Performance Publishing team has helped hundreds of people realize their dream of becoming an author. And I do truly believe that everyone has a story. Every story matters. But when you put it in a book, that's how you gain a lot more exposure, authority, and credibility. So as a partner publisher, Performance Publishing Group offers more than just expert guidance. They want you to make sure you get the book of your dreams and reap the rewards. To learn more, go to performancepublishinggroup.com. All right, well, let's just jump right in because John Sapiente is CEO of Volition America, a brand that carries ideals of uniting our country, empowering freedom of choice, and enabling patriotic expression for the love of America that transcends cultures, gender, race, age, and political beliefs. John has worked his way through the entrepreneurial depths of brand building, partnership acquisition, and everything in between. He has a very strong business background, owning 4 very diverse businesses in manufacturing, banking, and apparel. Volition America has procured partnerships with several top-tier brands while spreading the impartial explanation of patriotism and donating portions of Volition America profits to aid service people and their families through the Folds of Honor Foundation. So, John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in because what you're doing is, I'm a proud American. I love what you're standing for here. But tell us what exactly is Volition America?
Volition America is a brand that's ultimately trying to unite our country through positive choice, and at the same time give back to those that gave us the freedom of choice.
And how do you do that?
Well, we have a bunch of variety of products from apparel to sporting goods, and we sell it, and a percentage of everything we sell goes back to a charity called Folds of Honor. And we're ultimately starting a movement where our brand is being worn and used by people who want to say, this is what I stand for.
I love it. We were talking before the show and you defined volition, and the actual definition is power of choice. So talk a little bit more about that, what that means, and why you're passionate about that.
Well, I got to credit Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, who is the founder of Folds of Honor. We were together one day, and he asked me if I understood what volition meant. And jokingly, I said no. And he said, well, it's the most powerful word in the English dictionary. It's the power of choice. And he said, you can choose to love, you can choose to hate, you can be happy, sad, but ultimately the choices you make write the legacy of your life. And he's right. And so, I joke with people about, as I built this brand, when I was a little kid, my mom used to send me out the door and say, make good choices today. And that's really what this is all about, is we're trying to empower American people with the power of choice. We all love our country. You can be really far left and really far right and love your country. So it's about uniting people through positive choice. And I think our country as a whole is going through a lot of bad choices. And that's what we're trying to do. And we've been very fortunate with the people who sacrificed what they did to give us the freedom of choice. So that's what we're trying to get back to.
I love it. So this isn't all you do, though. Tell us a little bit more about you have many businesses. What else are you doing?
Yeah. So my day job ultimately is I own 2 manufacturing companies, one of which is a small precision plastic molder makes automotive parts, and the other is a company that I bought in 2010 that makes medical devices. So true, I'm basically a manufacturing guy.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how I got into this is I went to, I probably shouldn't tell the story because it makes me look bad, but in 2013, I went to a Folds of Honor charity event, and they were auctioning off a round of golf with a golfer named Craig Stadler, who's an old Masters champion. And I bought the round of golf because I wanted to play golf with the Walrus, not necessarily I was so into the charity.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know is I won the event or won the auction, and I played on Memorial Day with Craig Stadler, but ended up spending the weekend with the military and their families. And
Oh,
I had
wow.
kind of an aha moment at that event saying, I can't believe I've overlooked this, what these families do and how they're not being supported for 45 years of my life. So Folds of Honor and the helping the military kind of became my cause.
Mm.
And so I spent 3 years as a very active supporter, donor, giving money, time, networking about Folds of Honor. And I got connected with the founder, who's an incredible human being, Dan Rooney, and we became really good friends. And that's how this all kind of came about.
I love it. Yeah, I'm familiar with Folds of Honor. I'm sure not everyone is though. So tell us a little bit more. What is Folds of Honor? What do they stand for? What's the charity?
Folds of Honor is a 5-star or gold star charity that gives scholarships to the severely injured or fallen soldiers' families. 91 cents on the dollar goes back to the recipient family, but ultimately they're educating the legacy for our national heroes. And so it's really a great cause, a great organization. I think they've given $180 million in scholarships. Um, and it just keeps growing and growing. It's supported by so many brands and people, but it's truly a great charity.
Yes. And that's really where the idea for Volition America came from through Dan, as you said. And
Yeah.
so what is the vision? What is the ultimate vision of, I know it's still growing, there's more coming. What's the vision for it?
Yeah. So the idea, and I touched on this a little bit before we started the interview, but Dan and I were at a concert, and he asked me what Volition, if I knew what Volition was, as I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was getting a life lesson from Dan because he's a really inspirational guy and always teaching. And ultimately, he had a business idea called Volition America. And the idea was to create a brand that united our country while giving back to Folds of Honor. And he asked if I would help fund it and run it because you can't use charity donor money to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
So Dan is a golf pro turned fighter pilot with 3 tours of duty, and he wanted me to make a hat, t-shirt, jeans, and a belt buckle. So he kind of wanted me to make a Tom Cruise Top Gun
Yeah.
outfit. And this is kind of, I guess, where my business acumen kind of took over. Is despite not having a lot of time, I agreed to do it and thought I was just going to make some jeans and t-shirts and sell them and make some money for Folds. And I started with jeans, and I really realized with jeans, when you think about it,
Yeah.
the amount of variety in a jean store is overwhelming, from skinny jeans to fat jeans to relaxed fit, 30, 30, 30, 32. I just decided that, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? What do I pick? How do I inventory it? So I realized that one, I was way in over my head. And then two, I met a large brand CEO, and he was kind of laughing, but telling me all the things that he messed up on designs in his first few years.
Uh-huh.
And I really realized that I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to design it. I don't know how to inventory it. So I needed to find a partner.
Mm.
And that was kind of step one in the business model. And then because jeans were uh, crossed off the list, I decided, and we decided we should go into golf because Folds is very big in golf.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that the distribution model is pro shops, which is 80% of their sales. So somebody had to walk around with a bag of polos state to state and shop to shop, and I didn't have the bandwidth for that. So I knew Volition America was a great brand and story, and there was a big white space, but I needed to figure out how am I going to do it without any manufacturing, inventory, anything, or sales. And we decided to try to license the brand. And we started networking within golf. We met the CEO and president of Puma Golf. They fell in love instantly. And in 2017, we signed a contract with them to be our exclusive partner in golf, and it's exploded. Gary Woodland wears it exclusively, won the US Open wearing our gear. Super exciting. There's some very funny stories around that if we want to get into that later. But ultimately, Puma was our first partner.
Mm.
And since then, we have a lot of brands coming on board. We now have Wilson, we have Louisville Slugger, DeMarini in baseball. We have Revo, Luminox watches are coming here in October. We've got 4 or 5 others. And what that does, and I think I started a brand backwards. Usually you build a product, get it out in the market, and then you do collaborations with people.
Mhm.
We did just the opposite as we built collaborations as an early step. And the idea really is what it does for us is it brings us all these large audiences to spread our message.
Yeah.
So I'm calling it a brand coalition, and it's bringing like-minded audiences and brands together to unite through the power of choice. And so as you look at our website, we've got apparel, we've got sporting goods, we've got miscellaneous products. So all sorts of different things. And I use a term, and cut me if I'm going too long, uniform for life. And
Mm.
what we're trying to give people is something that they can go in their closet or and pull out something and say, this is what I stand for. So if you
Mm.
see the logo behind me up on the shelf, it's a folded flag, which is the Folds of Honor logo, and then we have wings on it, lifting it up, taking it places it couldn't go. So the idea of the brand really is to unite our country and to
Yeah.
give back to those that helped us get there.
And I love that it is not, I mean, it is no matter what your political stance is, right? I mean,
Mhm.
we all stand for the same thing as Americans. So, you know, I love that. And I think the cause, I mean, I'm really intrigued by, you know, did you know much about licensing when you decided to
No.
take this as, I mean, that seems
I
like
know
a
about marketing,
huge,
branding, licensing.
how did you do that? That seems daunting to me.
Well, I always joke because I was a young peddler as a young age that I was always too stupid to know this was too hard to do. And you just learn and you ask a lot of questions and you
Hmm.
network and you work your way through all the obstacles. Um, I guess I'm somewhat persistent, so there are no obstacles. You just got to pivot and go around them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when we tried to make our clothes, when I realized all the obstacles, I had to reevaluate.
Yeah.
And the licensing model really is an interesting model because it's a lot easier to bring apparel and things out when they already have an audience.
Right.
And so we will be rolling out our own marketplace here soon, in the next couple of weeks, that all of our brand partners will be on the site selling their products through our site.
Mhm.
We're ultimately building, I don't know if your viewers are familiar with a website called Fanatics, but if you ever type in sports merchandise, it always takes you there. We're going to
Mhm.
build the Fanatics of patriotic gear. So basically, anything patriotic, you'll go to
Yes.
the site. And beyond the
That's
more,
great.
the inspiration of what we're trying to do and bring people together and give back, it's a really a benefit for these brand partners too, because for example, Puma's getting all these other audiences that they normally wouldn't get. So the Wilson audience gets the Puma audience, the Puma audience gets they're
Mhm.
getting all these people in areas that they normally wouldn't receive.
Mhm.
And we're really building a movement, and
Yeah.
it's not a holiday shirt or a Fourth of July polo. It's a 365-day a year brand that ultimately is letting people stand up and say, "This is what I stand for."
Mm.
And I like that you commented that it's not a political brand, because patriotism is viewed as a negative connotation or a right leaning, and it's misused.
Mhm.
Patriotism is just love of country, and you can be
That's
really
right.
far left and love your country, and you can be really far right and love your country. The country is built on democracy and coming together with good choices, and that's what we're trying to teach is the power of volition. And so I
Mhm.
use a term within volition is we're not red and we're not blue, we're red, white, and blue.
I
And
love
that's
that.
what this is all about is let's come together as a country and do good things. And
Yes.
so
Be proud.
it's been
Right.
fun to watch, really fun to watch. I was actually at a farmer's market the other day and there was a guy wearing my shirt and I had the t-shirt on and he stopped me. He goes, "Isn't it a great brand?" I said, "It's better that you stopped me and that I own the company. This is fantastic." And so it's been really neat to meet people that are really passionate about the brand.
Yes. Oh, that's so awesome. And you know, the Fanatics, I'm very familiar with Fanatics, having boys, major sports fans and all.
Yeah.
But to be that of the patriotic gear is really awesome. And so, and you know, part of this show, The Power of Authority, is it's not about a business. I mean, I have a publishing company too, so it's I always say it's not about a book. It's the movement. What are you doing to nobody wants to buy another shirt, no offense to you, or a
Right.
jacket, right? Nobody, that's not what people, but or nobody wants to buy another book. They want to be a part of something that's making an impact. They want to be a part of a movement. And so I just think you've done a great job of really setting it up for that, because we want to get behind movements,
Right. It's
So
our biggest struggle is just getting the word out.
yeah.
It's been really interesting for us to see how loyal people come to the brand and the repeat customers when we finally teach them what it is.
So that leads into my next question, because the power of authority too is about, it's leveraging that position that you have, the movement. So how do you get the word out? I mean, you're
all
on
the
podcasts.
typical marketing, well, all the typical marketing channels, right? So
Yeah.
we're doing social, we're doing digital, we're doing PR, we're doing, it helps when you've got a Puma that has, millions and millions of followers already, and then they send a blast out in an email. So our audience is much bigger than a company our size should be, but we're using all the same typical marketing aspects as other brands.
And things, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say that's all the stuff that I didn't know that I am learning as we go.
Yeah, and so much of it evolves too, in different industries. But are you finding something like right now in 2022 that is really working better than something else in terms of the marketing side of it?
Driving them to our site is far more effective than social. I spent a ton of money on social, and I still don't understand how that equates to an ROI.
Right.
We have found, and this was really interesting for me as we started doing Google AdWords and driving people to our site, and we got a very diverse audience. So what's interesting to us is we found that from 25 to 65, 55% were men and 45 women, but they were very diverse age groups, and female and male diversity all loved our site and were coming to our site. But what's interesting is we're spending 132 seconds on average on our homepage, which means when we drove them to our site, they sat there and read it for 2 minutes, which is unheard of. So it just helped me validate that when we introduce it to people, they really like it. And it's just a great message. It's a feel good. Even if you take the patriotic side out of it and cut it all, if I could teach my kids just the word volition and have people learn that, your life is basically the choices you make.
Yep.
So I have a video on the website for anybody who wants to log on. It's on the About page, and it's just what volition means.
Okay.
And that's when we made that video. I went home and played it for my 4 kids.
Oh.
And you can blame anybody. You can say if you made the decision to do what your friend said, it's your choice.
Your choice.
And so that's I think that's a very interesting meaning to the brand too.
Absolutely. So the website is volitionamerica.com. And highly recommend going there. I am going to watch that video. It's funny. My mom, I remember when I was growing up, it was all about choices, like, well, I can't do this. Well, it's a choice. You're choosing not to do this. And that was instilled in me. And ultimately, we're responsible for everything that happens to us, good or bad. And everything that happens to us is directly tied to a choice we made. So I think the message is way beyond just the marketplace and what you all
I
are
use it in my other businesses too. I had a discussion with an employee yesterday he was upset that someone told him to do something that was wrong, and then people were upset at him and I said, well, ultimately, if someone tells you to do something, once you agree to do it and do it, it's your choice too.
Right.
So I don't care if they're vice president or president, they're telling you to do something wrong, you should at least question it, at least understand the choice you made. But once you sign up to it, you made the choice too.
Yeah.
And so I've been using, maybe I've gone too far with the volition thing, but I've been teaching it through my core businesses as well. As all these decisions we make on a daily basis have an impact.
Yes. Power of choice. I love it.
There you go.
Well, we're running out of time, but again, I want to make sure everyone goes to volitionamerica.com and check out all the gear. It's really cool stuff. And also watch that video. And John, is there anything last word you would say for somebody who maybe they have an idea, or maybe they want to make an impact or create a movement? Do you have any advice for them?
I'm a big believer in hard work is what gets you there. So many people wish it and they want it, but it's all hard work, and you're going to run into obstacles, and you keep dusting yourself off and getting up and keep fighting through the problems. And there's been plenty of bumps in the road along this journey with Volition. but I don't think anything will ever replace hard work.
No. It's, I so agree with you on that. At the end of the day, the people that are successful aren't any different, special. They just took action. They did something. So,
Yep.
And that's you. So John, thank you so much for being on the show. This was just such a great conversation. Again, volitionamerica.com. And
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. All right, everybody, that's it for this show. We'll see you next time on the Power of Authority Spotlight. Take care. Thanks so much for listening to the Power of Authority Spotlight. If you are a successful founder, entrepreneur, business owner, or leader that's getting results and making a difference, and you'd like to be on this program, please visit performancepublishinggroup.com/podcast to apply. That's performancepublishinggroup.com/podcast. Also, if you got something out of this interview, please share this episode. Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on the socials. If you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag #ThePowerOfAuthoritySpotlight. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content, so make sure you don't miss any episodes by subscribing. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Go to our websites, performancepublishinggroup.com or michelleprince.com, and follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.